All right, welcome everybody. This is the final viewer town hall of the year. It is taking place on our brand new Pacman Live YouTube channel, which is really exciting. Working on our first 20,000 subscribers there, and we're going to be hearing from people. I don't even know that I need to wait that long before getting into stuff. The couple things I will mention are that this will be the last stream of the year unless we get to 100 here in terms of members. Even though we're not live on Twitch, I can still see Twitch subscriptions and they'll still pop up. If we get to the 100, we will stream tomorrow, and we will stream every single day, potentially all the way up to and including New Year's Eve. So that's still on the table. I do want to thank Julie Grist as well as Stephen Gregoire, who signed up with the coupon code OBAMNA. And as you can see, we're carrying over the numbers from the stream I did earlier today. Okay, so a lot of really incredible things going on. What are the ground rules here? It's very easy. It's very easy. If you want to call in and talk to me, you've got to get on the Discord. So the first step is go to davidpacman.com/Discord and get in the Discord. Now, if you are not a website member, you can join the waiting lobby. And there's a queue. You've got to change your nickname to your location and your name. So like, for example, we've got Frank from Jersey waiting. We've got Tel from Alaska. Okay. If you are a website member, there is a member waiting lobby, which you can join. If you are a member but don't yet have that status on the Discord, send a DM to the user pack-man. So PAK-MAN, that's a bot, which is overseen by the moderators. Send them a picture of you logged into your website membership. They will give you the proper credentials, and then you will be able to get in the member waiting lobby. Okay, so let's kick things off here. First of all, I have to, let me get myself. We're going to start with the waiting lobby, and let's go first to Lee from Chicago. Lee from Chicago, you are first today on the town hall, and make sure that you turn off whatever it is that we are hearing there, because that makes it difficult.
I turned it off. I wasn't expecting to be number one up here.
You're number one, Lee. You're number one in my book.
Wow. I'm calling about Omicron.
Yes.
And I have a lot of concern for in-school transmission. I feel like everything's getting swept under the rug by the CDC in the hopes of getting the economy back going.
Yeah.
I protested, I've organized, I'm losing my mind. I feel like I need your sane voice and what I should be doing.
Well, what is your specific situation? I mean, it's so personal because it depends on your exposure and your health situation and who else you're around that might be at risk. This is what makes it so difficult to say, here's what any one person should do, you know?
Yeah. No, I have a child who's in special education. She is fully vaccinated, and I would like to say to anyone listening, she didn't really have any side effects from the vaccination. And I would encourage everyone to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the other thing, Lee, is it's an economic consideration as well. I mean, even listening to Dr. Fauci talk about it, the reasoning he gives is about getting people back to work. It's not a medical justification.
Well, and that's my concern, because we are seeing studies of long COVID. And my concern is, are we disabling children by letting them get a mild infection that could be with them down the line? I feel like there's just not enough studies done or not enough information released on it.
We are not playing with full information in general here. That's just a reality, and that's why things change. And everybody is, at the end of the day, you're sort of on your own in figuring out who do you want to listen to and what is the right decision for you and your family. And I wish I had something more specific.
Yeah, I just worry that the fierce individualism that we have here in the U.S. is going to really hurt us in getting through this whole thing.
It has already. There's no doubt about that.
All right. Well, thank you, David. In my mind, that was a perfect call.
Perfect phone call from Lee in Chicago. Appreciate it very, very much. Let's now go over to the member waiting lobby and speak to a couple of other people there, starting with, let's go to Johnny from Boston. Johnny, you're on the air.
Really hurt us in getting through this whole thing.
Oh, dear God.
Absolutely. It has already. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, my God.
All right. Well, thank you, David.
Okay. So we're going to disconnect that for now because they're on a delay and listening to the playback of the stream, but we can try back again. Let's go to, in the member room, Drew from Fort Lauderdale. Drew, you're on the air.
David, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to switch gears a little bit here, and I wanted to ask you, were you able to watch the launch of the James Webb Telescope?
I was not. Was it exhilarating?
It was. CNN did not carry it live,
Okay.
but I watched the NASA live feed, and I wanted to ask you, what do you say to people who believe that that type of endeavor is a total waste of money?
I disagree with them completely. And here's the thing. Sorry. Let me let you finish formulating the question. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. See, I have 3 young nephews, and I've always tried to instill a sense of curiosity in them, bought them telescopes, take them through nature walks, to, get them out of the house and not be playing video games and things like that. And then I have family members who are at the dinner table on Christmas when I'm telling them about this, this amazing thing that's going on. And they're at the table saying, it's a complete waste of money. It's a total waste of time. How do you feel? How do you deal with that?
Very often these folks will say, if we put the money we put into the space thing into hunger or housing or healthcare or whatever, here's what we could pay for. I think that that's really a false notion because we never put all of our money into anything. And so starting from the idea that here's all the stuff we could cancel and put it here, that's not how societies operate. People have different interests, and you're not going to convince the people doing the space stuff to put all of the money into hunger because they're interested in space stuff, for better or for worse. That's number one. Number two, so many potentially game-changing technologies with regard to medicine, transportation, climate change, etc., could come from space exploration. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing, and I disagree with those who say it's not something we should be investing in.
Yeah, I mean, I asked them, I'm like, are you okay with spending tens of billions of dollars on a useless wall or $700 billion on defense? And they're, of course, like, oh, well, yeah, we need those things.
Right.
And, the fact is, I just looked it up. The 2020 budget for NASA is $22 billion. I mean, that's 0.48% of the total budget.
Yes.
I mean, it's like nothing. And I just think it's so important that we, I would take $100 billion out of the defense budget and send it to NASA if it were up to me.
There you go. Yeah, no, I think it's we don't even know the full scope of all the benefit we will get from it. So I'm with you.
I just got one last question, a more personal question for you, sir. If there was I know you're well traveled, and I love to travel as well too, and haven't been able to do it. But on this planet, where's the place that you would like to go that you haven't been yet?
So the 2 places that are very high on my list right now are Japan and Peru.
Okay. Are there any particular reasons as to why?
No, just I've been interested in both for a very long time, and they're just I was scheduled to go to both at the beginning of 2020, and the pandemic threw that out, and so they're still high on my list.
One of the places that I've been to that was probably one of my favorite places was Iceland. Have you ever been there?
Excuse me. Only for about an hour in the airport. I have never had the pleasure.
I highly recommend it for a destination. I put it on the bucket list.
It is on the list. It is on the list. Thank you, good sir. Very much appreciate it. Strong caller there. Speaking of Japan, we'll do one more caller from the member lobby and then go back over to the non-member. Our friend Kyoko from Japan is on with us. Kyoko, how are you? Uh-oh. Kyoko, you've got to unmute. Oh, dear. Kyoko, I would love to speak to you, but you've got to unmute. That's too bad. We'll go back. We'll go back to Kyoko if at some point she's ready. Okay, let's go back over to the regular lobby. I do want to say thank you to Monica Pino, Max Dahlstrand, and Rainbow, all of whom signed up on my website just now using the coupon code OBAMNA.
Obama.
And that puts us at 43. If we get to 100 by the end of the town hall, we will lock in another stream tomorrow, and we will keep going every single day. Every single day. Okay, let's speak to River from Florence. River from Florence, you're on the air.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, River.
Cool. So there's a few things I wanted to talk to you about. First time, I'm a first-time caller, and it's an honor that you selected me tonight.
The honor is all mine. Thank you.
And so I've been subscribed to you on YouTube for about a year and a half, and I'm a conservative, and I know the majority of your audience is liberal leaning, but I have a very open mind. I'm an independent thinker, and I mainly get my news from different YouTube channels.
Okay.
So anyway, the two things I wanted to talk to you about firstly were the redistricting that's going on right now.
Yes.
And I am very disappointed in my state, Alabama. I'm very disappointed, but for a reason you've probably not heard. You see, my city of Florence got literally split in half for U.S. House, and my county got divided three ways for Alabama State Senate. And all my Democratic friends in Florence and all my Republican friends in Florence all hate that because before the whole city voted together for House, and I believe it was 2 Senate districts, and now they've changed it to where it's 3. So I really feel like that. I know you talked a lot about redistricting. I really feel like Democrats could really do better next year if rather than saying, hey, you know, redistricting is just helping the Republicans, you go to specific cities where they've really made the map all weird and you say, hey, look what they did to your city. And
Yes.
I really think you get a lot more voters on your side that way.
That may be. I mean, the thing about the redistricting and the gerrymandering is that until the system changes, anybody who has the opportunity to do it is going to do it. That's just the reality. So until you get nonpartisan commissions to draw the lines or a different system, nothing's really going to change.
So do you see this as getting potentially even worse, like in terms of even weirder maps going forward unless laws change?
Well, yeah. I mean, thanks to the 2020 census, now you're seeing it in a bunch of states. The next census isn't until 2030. So we've got, 8.5 years to try to prevent it from happening again. But if in 2030 the same thing happens, whoever's in control is going to do the exact same thing.
Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was the 2024 primaries for president. And, right now, surprisingly, I see the Republicans as having more of a chance to elect somebody new because after seeing what happened in 2016, where, Bernie came so close to the Democratic side and again in 2020, I really feel like the Democratic Party is going to favor certain candidates again in 2024. And the only two people, assuming that, the Biden administration, doesn't pick up in popularity and Biden doesn't run again, the only two people I really see and have a chance at it that aren't in Biden's administration right now are either Gavin Newsom or Hillary Clinton again. And the lack of choices is something that concerns me because I'm very worried that it's just going to be just a couple choices again.
Well, it typically is just a couple of choices. I don't think Hillary runs again. I think Newsom might run, but he has a lot of political baggage. I think that would be a really big uphill battle for him. But I agree with your conclusion, which is I think 2024, as of right now, is looking pretty good for Republicans. I think you're right about that.
So the last thing I want to say is, why
Well,
do you
listen,
think
River, because you've
Hillary?
asked two questions already and I have so many people holding, I'm going to move on because we have
Okay,
so many people to
I
talk to,
just
but your,
wanted
your
you to.
first two questions
I
were
just want.
tremendous.
Yeah, I just wanted you to finish your thought on why Hillary wouldn't run again. That's
I
all.
just think she's not interested. I just don't think she's going to do it.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
All right, there's River from Florence, very, very powerful. Let's switch over now to the member waiting lobby. And remember that if you would like to become a member, there's no greater day than today. Not only will you help us on our track towards 100, you will get access to the member waiting lobby. Let's try Kyoko from Japan again and see if we can make contact this time. Kyoko, are you there?
Wait.
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you. We can hear you.
Ah, finally. Well, I couldn't unmute myself for some time.
That's weird.
So yeah, it was. I mean, finally, I got help. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I have some question again. This is about aging society. If we can talk about that. As you may know, Japan is the most rapidly aging country in the world. We have senior citizens, people over 65 years old,
Yes.
account for almost 30% of the entire population. And not only that, the birth rate is very, very low
Yes.
at around like 1.36%. And it's getting lower and lower every year. And then this distorted demographics that we have poses a great risk to the national health care and a pension program because it's supported by the contribution from working people like us. Then the Japanese are, inherently pessimistic. So we basically think the current system will collapse in the near future and we are doomed. We won't get the pension that we are entitled to when we become senior citizens ourselves. And discussions are always towards how to increase the birth rate. While it's very important to support families who want to have children or who are raising children, but I don't think just improving birth rate is a good long-term solution for solving the issue of the healthcare system.
No.
Have you heard or seen this discussion, this issue being discussed anywhere? Maybe not in America because you don't face the same problem as we do here. But I think it's kind of common problem in so-called mature economy or like a developed country. So, do you have any have you ever really heard of this
Oh,
issue being
absolutely.
discussed?
We have talked about this. Is actually the issue is particularly pronounced in Japan, but many countries are facing this issue. And in the US, the declining birth rate has also been discussed. It's not happening to the degree that it's happening in Japan, but we have the major healthcare problems here in the United States. There's two general views on this, Kyoko. One is the declining birth rate is a problem to be solved economically.
Right.
The other side of
Right.
this is historically, birth rates naturally decline when infant mortality goes down, meaning it's more likely that the kids you have will survive. And as lifespans go longer, people tend to
Right.
wait longer to have kids. So there's actually a feel,
Right.
there's a perspective that this is not actually a problem, and that we might think of it as a problem, but actually the economy will change and adapt to the lower birth rate, and it's all going to be okay. Like that's a perspective that
Oh.
many people have.
Oh wow, that's as I said, very pessimistic Japanese people don't have that good
Right.
view.
Right.
So, okay, yeah, I know it's a very natural course. What do you call it? It's a natural thing that once your economy becomes kind of stable, people tend to have a less and less children.
Yes.
And then so you can't really resist that. And of course, it's not something you can control
Right.
as a country. Of course, you shouldn't. So, um, yeah, but
Important
again,
topic.
at the same time, it's just the imbalance that we are currently have. If we have a lesser, maybe the senior citizens, we have huge population of baby boomers and the second baby boomers. I think those are currently really hurting the system. But of course, I mean, they are entitled to, of course, have what they really helped when they were working. So
Absolutely. Without a
anyway,
question,
yeah.
they're entitled to it.
Mhm.
Kyoko, listen, I want to tell you,
Mhm.
after our last conversation about the proper way
Sure.
to make miso soup, I went
Mm-hmm.
out and I got the katsuboshi
Got.
flake, and I now make my miso soup with
Oh
in the
wow.
broth, I'm using the
Uh-huh.
dehydrated fish flake. I love it. I love it.
Oh wow, really? Okay. I think I have to. I think I got maybe too carried away and then spoke too much. I mean, maybe you don't have to really mix all the elements together. I mean, I said that the more the elements, the better.
Yeah.
But I think you should maybe keep a few, like 2, 3 items, some veggie and then some non-veggie items. And I really have to say, I mean, I'm so amazed with your knowledge on food. Besides everything else, I mean, how do you know so much about some kind of a really specific stinky tofu from Far East countries?
Well,
It's just
yes, I don't
amazing.
know. I'm a fan of Japanese cuisine, so that's really what it is.
Thank you.
Kyoko, always a pleasure
Mm.
speaking with you.
Yes, thank you for picking up my call. Okay, yeah, I have to, go.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I don't want
I
to
mean,
hold you up,
I mean,
Kyoko. Thank you so much.
no, no, no. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, people are waiting,
I
so
know what you
I
mean.
feel
I
so
know what you
bad.
know. I'm kidding around. Kyoko, always a pleasure.
Yes.
Kyoko from Tokyo, thank you so much
Okay.
for the call. Let's talk to one more member, then we'll go back over to the non-member line, and it's really all happening today. I mean, it's stunning what's taking place here. Let's go to Roy from South Jersey on the member line. Roy, you are on the air.
Hey, David, are you there?
I'm right here, my friend.
All right. I had a couple of questions. One is I've always been fascinated with Dennis Prager and how ridiculous he is. Would you debate him?
I mean, I guess I do. The thing about when people call up and they say, "Would you debate X person?" It's like, okay, about what topic? What's the format? What's the duration? Like I've already said, I'm not interested in these 3-hour things. Right now, I don't know that I would really travel for a debate because I just with the Omicron, it's not thrilling to like I was invited to do in the last month I could have gone to the Charlie Kirk show and the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and because of the COVID right now it's just not feeling that great to get in rooms with right wingers, so I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. The last time I called in, Jimmy from Philly really gave me the new one, and now he's off the rails.
Yeah.
Was that the first time that he's called in and now he's part of the Whack Pack, or has he been a recurring character before?
When specifically are you referring to?
This was during the governor's election last month.
Oh, no, Jimmy's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
All right. actually
off the show now because the stuff he's sending is so out of control, and he seems to be really dealing with some personal issues where I think after yesterday's show, we're taking a break from Jimmy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thank you so much for the
Appreciate
call. Very much appreciate it. Yeah. Let's go back over to the regular waiting lobby, the non-member waiting lobby. I do want to say thank you to Maggie Killen. Maggie is killing it, just signing up on my website with the coupon code Obamna. And his new member number 44. Today, there may be no better day than today for signing up on my website. If you're a member, you will get access to the member waiting lobby to talk to me right now. If we fill this bar to 100, we will also guarantee another stream tomorrow. Otherwise, this is likely the final stream of the year. So it is an incredibly important day to sign up on the website. Over in the non-member waiting lobby, let's speak next to Ricky from Charlotte. Ricky from Charlotte, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Good to be talking to you again. So I wanted to ask you, I've noticed some problems that I didn't previously notice with independent media at large. I'd always thought, I'd always liked the idea because, I kind of came around watching a lot of you and a lot of Kyle Kalinske and, Majority Report. I really started with like Young Turks, but they led me to all of you guys. And then, over time, like, I feel like that was probably like around 2010 when I started watching a lot of this stuff. But since then, like the independent media space, I feel like has blown up a lot. And
Oh boy. Your connection's kind of going in and out, Ricky. We heard in a very broken way that independent media is blowing up.
Better than corporate media, mainly being that,
oh boy,
they're not. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, no. So I was saying, some of the problems that I noticed with corporate media that I thought independent media had the advantage over, as far as not being beholden to corporate donors and covering things like in a more honest way. I kind of now see that it's not quite as much of a benefit because I see a lot of these characters, like the Jimmy Dores or people like Glenn Griftwald who just give themselves brainworms to like appeal to the Substack audience or whatever. They all just seem to like want to like they're beholden to their audience and they're trying to like feed their audience everything that they want to hear. And I just don't see that as being much better. I mean, and I feel like it's just gotten really bad in like the past couple of years or so. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking basically about audience capture. And, I can't really speak to exactly, like I know with Jimmy Dore, we covered something where he got some award from some Syria denial organization and, all these different things. I don't follow the particulars of it, but all I can do is for myself, basically take the positions that I genuinely believe in and explain to my audience that those are the positions, take them or leave them. And sometimes people say, "Oh, David, you're grifting by giving a position that's not really yours." No, my audience has gotten mad at me sometimes for takes about different things, but I'm just going to tell people what I believe. And
Yes.
if you don't want to watch because you disagree with me about 1, 2, 3 things, that's your thing. But the problem with doing what some of these people do, which is tailoring their views to what their audience want, is that you sometimes end up just losing everything. You in the sense of you lose your core audience, but the audience you're trying to grift to also kind of doesn't really see you as genuine, and it eventually falls apart anyway,
Yeah, and the thing about that, and I respect you a lot because I've seen that you've given your takes on issues that are generally more controversial with your audience. Like the Israel-Palestine conflict, or I think there are times like I saw it like when AOC was like really popular with the left, and you like gave some honest criticism about her. That didn't go over well. But the thing that I've just noticed with like a lot of these other creators, especially the types like Jimmy or something, is when they make when they do make videos or put out content on subjects that their audience doesn't like, such as like when Jimmy recently did a video about kind of semi-defending critical race theory, and his entire audience on a YouTube channel like completely railed him for it, and now he's like staying away from those types of subjects. And so it's just making me think, like, I don't know with almost any character these days who you can actually trust to think that they're actually giving their honest take on anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to give a list, but I think it's important that my message to audiences would be different than my message to creators, but my message to creators doing this would be, I don't even think it's that great financially either. I mean, right now, if you look at the David Pakman Show YouTube channel versus the Jimmy Dore channel, I think we get somewhere between 4 and 8 times the daily views that he gets. And if you look at the Dave Rubin channel, just to pick people you're mentioning, he has all these subscribers, but they're not really watching the content. If you look at views, I think we're between 5 and 10 times the daily views. So I would even take issue with the fact that it's that profitable at the end of the day.
Well, I think that just the last thing I guess I'll say about this, I think I feel like maybe since the way that YouTube has handled things recently, it's changing some of the market opportunity on YouTube, and that's why you see like a lot of people starting to try to build audiences on Rumble or Rockfin or Substack, which I feel like Substack is just like a cesspool of
What was that
total
middle one you mentioned?
disinformation.
Oxfam? Isn't that a nonprofit?
Rockfin.
Oh my God, I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of newer. I haven't spent much time with it. I've just heard of a lot of independent creators like starting to promote, their profile in there and telling people to follow them there.
Got it.
But yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, Ricky, thank you. I really appreciate the call.
No, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, there we go. Okay, let's go back over to the member waiting lobby. I just want to just so we can get as many people on as possible, please get right to your question. Let's try to avoid really long preambles because out of respect for the audience, I do want to try to hear from a lot of different people. So try to get right into the question. Let's go to Johnny from Boston who has fixed his audio. Welcome back, Johnny.
Hey, how's it going?
Whoa, it's going well, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I apologize for that. I was listening to it on the YouTube stream and I was on the Discord. It was a hot mess, but I figured it out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. One question for you. One thing I first want to thanks for the input about the podcast that you gave me, which really worked out.
Good.
One of the questions I have is about the upcoming 22 elections for governor in Massachusetts. Now that Charlie Baker isn't running, it's kind of a free for all now. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. The person who's running he's nuts. He was the one who ran for against Elizabeth Warren, didn't go anywhere. But now that there's not like a centrist Republican, I'm concerned that there are some people who are going to pretend that this is not a right-wing MAGA person. So I don't know if you've followed it up at all.
I have not. I mean, let me just take a quick look right now and see what's going on here. So Republican primary, Jeff Deal. That guy's bonkers, right? He's off the wall.
Yeah, he's out of his mind.
And then 3 other Republicans I don't recognize. Then on the Democratic primary, Danielle Allen, Sonia Chang Diaz, and Orlando Silva. I haven't heard of any of these people. It says Maura Healey expressed interest. I know her.
Yeah.
It seems so early that I have no idea whatsoever what to expect there, Johnny.
Yeah, I do know Sonia Chang Diaz. She was my state senator for many years, and I met her years ago when I was doing a LGBT rally.
Oh, okay.
She's awesome. She's the most progressive. I would like to have her run, but I don't know. I don't know what her overall statewide appeal would be.
I think it'll be an interesting race because of Massachusetts' history of electing kind of like decaf Republicans, if you know what I mean.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting race.
Absolutely. So, but anyway, thanks. So thanks for taking my call. Apologize for the error with that. And the input you got from the podcast. Now I'm going to be a semi-regular panelist on a podcast. So I'm really
beautiful.
excited about that.
Johnny, thank you for the call.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
There's Johnny from Boston. Let's do one more caller here over in the member lobby. How about, let's go to Nick from Santa Rosa. Nick, I just had a friend visit Santa Rosa. I've never been, but he said it's beautiful.
Yeah, Santa Rosa is a pretty nice place.
Excellent.
It's like the largest city in Sonoma County. So what I was calling, rather to ask you is, I was curious, how do you seem to have a really good knowledge of income taxes, and I'm an income tax accountant, so I appreciate your take on a lot of those segments. I'm not sure that anyone else cares, but I find it really interesting.
Thank you.
I was just curious what you think about it.
I mean, I guess, in business school, in grad school, they everything is sort of like decision maker level stuff. So we had to take accounting for decision makers and classes like that. And having done my own taxes now for something like 20 years and knowing a bunch of accountants, I just pick stuff up here and there,
Yeah, that totally. Because anytime I watch any other streamers, it seems like you have a much better understanding, and so
I appreciate that. Any last minute things that I could maybe do to reduce legally my tax liability here?
Well, It depends, the classic accounting answer. But the only other thing I mentioned before I take off is your segment with Katie Porter interviewing those oil executives, and where they said the tax code doesn't give them any inherent advantage. That got a good laugh around the office.
Yeah, that was just pathetic. I mean, that's got to, accountants must see that and just be in hysterics.
It's almost like you have an entire tax section code for them, but whatever.
Hey, what if I create a charitable foundation, donate everything I made to the charitable foundation, and then the charity beneficiary is me? Could that work? Could that get me zero tax liability next year?
I don't know about that, but I know you can make charitable trusts like that.
I'm kidding around, of course. I pay every dollar in taxes that I'm supposed to.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
All right, my pleasure. Nick from Santa Rosa, a very, very important message of peace and love. Let's go back over to the non-member lobby. I do want to say thank you to Patrick Riley and Robin Sabatella, both of whom just signed up on my website with the coupon code Obama and are new members 45 and 46. Remember that if you sign up on my website, you get access to the member waiting lobby in the Discord. Very, very important stuff. Let's speak to, I don't know. How about, let's go to Aaron in LA County. That's Los Angeles County, I assume. Aaron, you're on the air. Aaron, you got to unmute yourself.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Yes, that is Los Angeles County. Thanks for taking my call again, David. I just wanted to ask, I was actually going to ask about the housing crisis, but I think I'll save that for a discussion later. But I've been reading into this. I just want to start off by saying, I am in support of critical race theory. I don't know how far I would go in terms of high school education for it, but I do have a lot of reservations regarding the 1619 project. The more I start to look into it, there's just a lot of concerns I have about the type of history that they're teaching. And I also feel that they're purposely obfuscating a lot of historical figures such as Eugene Debs and other labor leaders throughout the 19th and 20th century that were very integral in helping gain rights for Black workers that are being skipped by this project.
I don't know enough about the 1619 project to be able to really comment intelligently. I'm going to learn more about it, but I've really mostly only looked at critical race theory.
Okay. Yeah. What would you be overall, your thoughts on critical race theory by itself?
Well, as I've said before, all of these critical theories share a philosophical background that I think is very applicable in certain areas like literature, and for me is less applicable in the modern world. And I've got a couple of clips of it. And so for me, I think critical theory, including critical race theory, is completely valid and legitimate as, let me see if I can say this the right way. I think it's important to learn about critical theory, like critical race theory. I am not in favor of applying it to all aspects of life the way that some people do. So this is sort of like, remember when Mark Milley said, hey, we should study critical race theory in the military because we should know what it is. If there are people who believe it as a framework, we should know about it. He's not saying we should all accept the interpretation of critical race theory. He's saying we should study the theory, and I absolutely agree with that.
Okay, but in regards to, I guess, the application of critical theory on history, it's not something that's necessarily been new. I know, for example, they've been teaching Howard Zinn and People's History of the United States in American high school history courses for decades now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the age. A lot of this stuff goes back to 50s and 60s. So it's not new in that sense. It's, depends on what timeline are we looking at, but it's been around for decades for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you, David.
My pleasure. Great call. Let's shoot back over to the waiting lobby and see what's going on with our members there. Let's go next to Let's go to Tim from Oregon. And remember, everybody, to jump right into your questions so we can speak to as many great people as possible today. Tim, you're on the air.
Hey, Dave. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Great. So 2 quick questions. One is about personal finance. One's personal politics.
Sure.
Question I had about personal finance is there's an option for a traditional and a Roth 401k, usually through many employers. And the assumed wisdom is that if you expect to have a significant income in retirement, you should select a Roth 401k. I was wondering if you don't know whether you're going to have a high level of income in retirement, what you should do given that.
This is such a major topic, and there's no way that I can give a blanket answer that will apply in all cases. But like there's 2 principles that tend to apply here. One principle is if you can Roth money, always use up Roth first. If you have the availability based on income and available products, and you can always just make a Roth IRA depending on your income wherever you want and contribute to it yourself. Always do Roth contributions first. That's one principle that a lot of people point to. The other one that a lot of people point to is if you don't know what taxes are going to be in the future. You don't even know what your income will be in the future. So if you can avoid a tax today and push it down the road, later the law may again change, allowing you to avoid it later, and or there may be other tools that you can use in the future. So does that sort of make sense? Like now, taxes right now are a known entity. And so if you can avoid some taxes now, that's preferable, and then deal with taxes later on.
Makes total sense. One other quickie.
Sure.
What would you consider to be your most conservative political view?
Wow, my most conservative political view. I mean, there's nothing really remarkable, but I think it's within economics. I have moved left on economics basically since I was first introduced to kind of neoclassical economics, and then realized that's not how the world works. But I still am of the mindset that some people who are truly, and I'm not using it as a pejorative, but actual socialists probably don't really understand some aspects of how economies and markets work, and that if they did, they would probably be social democrats. I mean, it's like what I'm basically saying is, as a social democrat, I'm to the right of socialists. Like that's probably my most conservative belief.
Well, appreciate your perspective, David.
Thank you so much. Tim from Oregon, very much appreciate the call. Let's go next to, from our member line, Colin from Red Wing, Minnesota.
Hey, David.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, I was just wondering if the goal is to get everybody vaccinated, or as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Why Anthony Fauci is still the one that we're kind of having speak on this.
Let me see if I can understand what you're saying. There's a lot of people who just don't listen to Fauci anymore because they see him as discredited. Correct. So it'd be better to get a different spokesperson for vaccines.
Correct.
Yeah, that's not an unfair statement. But the only problem is the overwhelming number of anti-vaxxers right now are Republicans. Many of them are Trumpist Republicans. Trump now twice in the last 10 days, once with Bill O'Reilly, once with Candace Owens, said the vaccines are good and they prevent you from dying. And his own followers are turning on him. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you're not wrong. But when even Trump can't get Trumpists to get vaccinated, is there anyone on this planet that could? I don't know.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, I guess my other question is, do you do any winter sports?
Very occasionally I ski, but I'm really not good at it. I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, me neither.
So yeah, no, I don't really do too many winter sports.
Okay. Well, that's all I got, David. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate the call. Let's now shift over to the non-member lobby and see what's going on over there. Let's go to Trevor from Florida. Trevor, what part are you in Florida or Florida?
I'm in Florida.
Okay, you're in both. It sounds like. Okay, good. What's going on there?
Just still kind of depressing, politically at least. I'm in the Tampa Bay area.
All right, and please turn off notifications because they're starting to bling in Discord.
All right, 1 second.
It's the polite thing to do, you know.
Yeah, I had to switch over to my computer because my phone, for some reason, I couldn't hear you. But
okay.
1 moment. I really don't know how to do it on my computer, so I apologize. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But just really quickly, I guess I can just mute myself. I wanted to kind of point you to a race that you may not be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I know you did an interview with Amanda Mackey 8 months ago or something. It went pretty viral.
Yeah.
And she's running again for Congress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the 13th district. It's the seat that Charlie Crist is vacating to run for governor.
How does she spell her last name? I don't even remember now.
Here
it is. Makki. Yeah. That was a wacky interview. I have it up on the screen now for people. Oh wow, it's got almost 1 million views. I may have to get her back on and talk to her about this race she's running.
Yeah, it's pretty, and it's kind of like the epitome of a Florida race because her opponent is Anna Paulina Luna, who got the endorsement of Donald Trump, and there's just crazy stuff going on. Recently, there was some Blexit rally that a mayoral candidate in St. Pete went with Anna Paulina to, and it's just crazy to see that stuff, especially St. Pete is pretty a liberal city for Florida in general. But
I'm gonna check that out. Maybe we'll get her back on.
Yeah, you definitely should.
Cool.
And also I have another question really quickly. I hope the notifications are doing it. But what's your kind of view on the role in independent left-wing media of punditry versus activism? Because I kind of have always felt with left-wing politics, any kind of commentary with that political orientation kind of automatically trains you to be kind of makes you become an activist in a sense because you're advocating for a lot of change in society. So what do you view your role as in that sense? A pundit mostly, or do you view yourself as an activist in any sense? And do you think that...
yeah, this is a good question. I've been asked about this before. To some degree, I am an activist in that I am giving my view and hoping to motivate people to go and do stuff in the real world in order to affect change in a way that I believe would be possible. But I do think it's important for me not to take credit from community organizers and people working on campaigns, et cetera, because I'm not doing that stuff. At the end of the day, I'm a guy, with a mic in a room giving my opinion, and being out there being an activist in the real world is a lot of work. And so I think I consider myself part of activist media, but I don't want to take any of the limelight from the people that are really going out and doing the work. So I think it's sort of the answer is both.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate the answer, David.
All right. Thanks so much, Trevor. Trevor from Florida. Very, very important issue. Let's go back over to the member lobby and see. Let's talk to Nate from Rhode Island. Nate from Rhode Island, you're on the air.
Hey, David, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, so I had a theoretical question. Let's say that the Supreme Court had enough justices and they were all liberal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody brought a case up to the Supreme Court, in particular, Citizens United. Could, in theory, the Supreme Court overturn that? I'm curious because people are saying it's pretty much a precedent at this point, and it would be tough.
It's really a question for a legal scholar. I don't know if you, in the scenario you're laying out where you've got, I guess, 9 left-wing justices, it would seem to me that they could make a ruling that effectively nullifies Citizens United, but it's really a question for a legal scholar.
Okay, and is there other ways, could Congress write legislation overriding that, for example?
So this I know more about, and we've done some interviews about it. There's a perspective now that says don't even worry about Citizens United because you can basically neuter, for lack of a better term, Citizens United through legislation, and that's actually the approach that should be taken. So that absolutely could happen.
Makes sense. How about through executive order? I doubt it could be done through that, though.
From what I recall, it's been a few months since I read about this. I think there are some things around the edges that could be done via executive order, but really legislation would be the way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And do you think that'll ever get done within the next, I don't know, decade?
Decade's a long time. You know, if you said the next 5 years, I would say probably not. But the next decade, maybe.
Perfect. Well, that's all I had for today, David. Have a nice day.
All right, there's Nate from Rhode Island over on the member line. Great to hear from him. Let's go next to, how about Andre from Brussels on the member line?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. I just had a question. Sorry. There's going to be a NATO and Russia summit coming up on January 10th regarding Ukraine.
Okay.
And Biden has thus far sort of ruled out deploying troops in defense of Ukraine, as he stated during the call with Putin. And so the situation hasn't de-escalated. Do you see any progress happening out of the summit, and what are your expectations of it?
My expectations are very low. I expect sort of platitudes to be presented, and I think we will have a very limited understanding of what Vladimir Putin actually plans to do. I don't claim to know what Vladimir Putin plans to do, but I don't think that we're going to necessarily gain a solid understanding from the summit.
From your perspective, do you think it's sort of Biden's job to prevent war in Eastern Europe?
No. I mean, my view is not that. No, I think that Biden and the U.S. are part of an international community that has an interest in preventing that war, hopefully. But I don't view it as the unique task of the American president. No.
Okay. Do you think that, in an event of a war, he'll be called weak on Russia?
That depends on what he does. I'm not even thinking that far ahead, but I think that there's certainly Republicans love to call Democrats weak anytime the military is involved. So yes, he probably will be called that.
All right. Well, thank you for your perspective. That's it for me.
My pleasure. Thank you. Andre from Brussels. Great to hear from you. If you're just joining us, we are in the middle of a live viewer town hall, the final town hall of the year. I want to say thank you to Osvaldo Kai, who just signed up on my website using the coupon code OBAMNA. And his new member number 47. I want to remind people, if we fill this bar to 100, whoa, my hair just did something very strange. We will do a stream tomorrow. And then if we do it tomorrow, we'll do a stream Thursday. We're going to keep it going through up to and including New Year's Eve. Now, just because we're running lower on time and we're only at 47, not only can you move the dial up by 1 by signing up at joinpacman.com, not only can you move the dial up by 1 by getting a Twitch Prime subscription at twitch.tv/David Pacman. Those are free if you have Amazon Prime. Any Patreon pledges will count double for the rest of the stream just to try to get us to 100. That's patreon.com/David Pacman Show. Let's not fall short of this worthy goal, because it is incredibly important that we keep it going. Let's go to Graham from Indiana next. Graham, you're on the air. Graham from Indiana, you're on the air. Graham, you're unmuted, meaning it's probably a configuration issue. You've probably got the wrong mic selected. Graham, you were on the air. All right, that's too bad. Let's go to Eric from Prince Edward Island, Canada. First caller ever from Prince Edward Island. Eric from Prince Edward Island, you're on the air. Oh, and he bailed. Oh, that's too bad. All right, let's try. Geez, I don't even know where to go next. Let's go to Chandler from Texas. Chandler from Texas, you're on the air.
Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Cool deal. Okay, so you know how in my state in 2022, Governor Abbott is up for re-election, right?
Yes.
Well, okay, so do you think with all the stupid crap that's been going on with him, like say with the winter storm and all that, with all the mistakes that he's been doing, that he would be reelected? And if so, or if not so, do you think somebody like Beto O'Rourke has a chance?
I've talked about this before. You know, I do believe that Greg Abbott is vulnerable because of all of the fiascos he's overseen in Texas and because Texas has moved left. I worry about Beto for the specific reason that it's going to be on a loop, him saying, I would absolutely confiscate guns. I would absolutely confiscate guns. So I worry that that's really going to be just on repeat, and that it's going to really hurt him as a candidate.
Gotcha. That's understandable. I can see that. Well, thank you for answering my question, and I love your show, and I love you, David. Have a
All
good
right,
day.
thank you, Chandler from Texas. Very much appreciate it. What a great call. What a great call. Let's hear from a couple more members if we can. Let's go to Tristan from Boston. Tristan, you're on the air. Tristan from Boston, you're on the air.
Hey, David, what's up?
How are you?
I'm feeling fine. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Hey, so have you seen the Intercept article about the, I guess you'd call it, dark money call with Joe Manchin and his no labels organization?
No, I have not.
It's kind of a, well, I don't know if you'd even call it dark money. It's kind of this group with like not venture capitalists. I don't even know what you call it. Built investors and corporate executives.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Hedge fund people. It's co-founded by people like Joe Lieberman, and they're all basically looking to fund conservative positions.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I'll read it.
Yeah. I can post the link in chat if you
want.
And it's very enlightening as to why he has been so recalcitrant on Build Back Better and Biden's agenda in general.
I look forward to checking it out. Tristan from Boston, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. Let's go next to Tucker from North Carolina. Tucker, you're on the air.
Hey, David, how's it going?
It's going well.
So I just wanted to get your opinion on progressive consumption taxes as a means of taxing the rich.
Okay.
So have you ever heard of like an expenditure tax, basically?
Is expenditure, I mean, is the concept similar to like a VAT tax?
No. So basically what you do is you take the income tax, you subtract out savings and investments, and then you add back in dis savings, which gets, how much you spent, and then you can tax that at progressive rates. So
so it's actually
50,000.
So does that incentivize saving then?
That's a part of it, but it's mainly meant to like get at the rich because they like the way it is now. They basically try to underreport their income and do all these other ways of getting around it. But under an expenditure tax, basically all expenses are captured. So so everything from helicopters, et cetera, stuff
That's interesting.
Yes,
I mean, it seems like there would be so many ways to get around it, first of all. And secondly, one of the things about very wealthy people is sometimes they have an insanely high savings rate. So if you tax expenditure, you have a lot of really wealthy people who might save 95 or even 98% of their income and only spend 2% of it. So I'd want to see the numbers on it. It's an interesting idea, but I don't know enough about it.
All right. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay. Thank you so much for the call. Let's go back over to the non-member waiting lobby. I do want to say some very special thank yous. Kreshnik Sadriu just signed up on my website.
Obama.
And Joshua Saldana is also a new member using the coupon code OBAMNA.
Obama.
That puts us at 49 for the day, which is a perfect number to be at right now. Let's go to Gabriella from Brussels in the non-member lobby. Gabriella, welcome to the program.
Hi, David. How are you? Any good ramen lately?
Let's see, ramen. Yeah, actually, we have a new ramen sponsor, and they just sent me some ramen. It was very good.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to look for that sponsorship on your next video.
Yes, it's a very big deal.
So I actually have a response to your video on the drone warfare and Biden.
Okay.
I think, of course, there's a huge ethical debate on drones, and I'm personally glad that drone strikes are down because they do disproportionately harm civilians.
Mm-hmm.
But I disagree on crediting Biden with this, and that's because of the geopolitical realm of when Biden versus Trump and Obama entered office. I mean, specifically in the Middle East, where drones were largely used. We were in the midst of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars when Obama entered, the Arab Spring, and many civil wars erupted while he was in office. But on the other hand, Biden inherited Trump's withdrawal from Afghanistan, and we're really shifting away from the Middle East. So I don't see any credit there. I think it's just situational.
There's a degree to which it's situational, but can I give you a counterpoint to your argument?
Sure, that's why I called. I wanted to know what your point was.
Even if you look at other conflicts in which we haven't really scaled back, we're still seeing a dramatic reduction in drone usage. And I don't have the full list in front of me. I'd have to review the sources I used for that story. But even in places where we haven't pulled back, there's a reduction in drone usage.
Okay. Just because from my understanding, because I study foreign policy, drone warfare is, better in places like the Middle East where, frankly, the people we are going after are weaker. They're non-state actors, they're terrorist groups. They don't have the capabilities that we do. So even if you look at other conflicts, drone warfare wouldn't be prioritized versus, let's say, China anyways. Whereas going after like the Houthis in Yemen, it obviously is our advantage to just use a drone.
That's absolutely true, but I think that it is only tangential to the reduction in drone usage in some of these theaters. Let's check the sources on the story that I did because I linked to the sources I used there.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, Gabriella from Brussels. Great to hear from you. Let's hear from a couple more members here and see who's around. A lot of interesting people wanting to get on today. I don't know. How about Logan from Oregon, or Oregon, as Donald Trump used to say? Logan, you're on the air.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'll try to be fast since it's going to be long-winded. This is in the context of the, forget her name, but the Japanese caller. I was wondering what you think is the practical viability in terms of like economics of like a very high inheritance tax. I could throw out some like numbers if you want, like just rent, like to like give some specifics if you want, or
sure. But like what do you mean by very high? Just give me a sense.
Yeah. Like you could have like an initial like pretty generous threshold where like the first 10 million you could say are tax free, and after 10 million you're taxing at like 90%. After like 500 million you tax at like 99%. Over $1 billion you tax at like 99.9%. And then you tie it to birth and acquisition of citizenship or residency. So you can still like renounce your citizenship if you want, but if you acquire either like if you're like an immigrant and you like acquire citizenship or possibly residency, or if you're born in America, then like you're like locked in to the like those tax rates. Also, like, what do you think of? I know that like you can't like do the math like right here, right now, but like, what do you think would be the viability of that lifting the tax burden on like lower and middle income, lower and middle class income, like maybe I don't know, having the first like 60,000 in income tax free or 80,000 in income tax free. Do you think that that kind of tax could replace the income tax entirely potentially? Is that sort of a pipe dream?
The second thing I would have no idea about, because the viability of it depends on the numbers, and I just don't, like you said, I don't have the numbers in front of me. In terms of the inheritance tax, I'm fine with the inheritance tax being higher, 99%. It's just not going to, I never say never, right? Because in 30, 40, 50 years, you could have a situation where it could happen. At no time soon is 90% inheritance tax going to be a really viable politically. My concern would more be, what is the total economic impact of going after inheritance versus properly and accurately taxing corporations and pollution and whatever else? I would kind of start there and work backwards, because like, sure, some people will feel good about taxing estates at 90% and some people won't. But even if we did, what's the sort of effect on the total budget? And then is it actually a battle worth having?
Right. That's what the question is more about. Because I don't think in terms of political viability, I think it's highly unlikely. But in terms of like the economics, do you think that something like that could feasibly replace replace a lot of the federal revenue that comes from income tax? Or
that's just an empirical question. We've got to look at the numbers, and I just don't have them in front of me. Logan from Oregon, thank you so much for the call. I very much appreciate it. An interesting discussion. Why don't we go next to, I can't see the name, but the caller from Ocean Isle Beach. Is it Kevin from Ocean Isle Beach?
Yes, this is Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Oh, and let me just say, thanks to Poorly Wiped Sapien, who gifted 5 subs on Twitch. I want to get that in, Kevin, but please proceed, Governor.
My question is regarding quantitative easing, and I wondered what your thoughts were. I was surprised to hear that it was still going on, because I really thought it was a 2008 idea. Or a response to the collapse in 2008, and that it would have been gone by now.
Well, do you think? Do you mean in the United States, in the UK?
In the United States.
Right. So quantitative easing normally refers to buying securities to stimulate the economy. It increases the money supply. The fear is it can cause inflation. But it can also keep interest rates low and encourage lending. The idea being that you're stimulating, doing economic activity. I don't know the degree to which it's being done in the United States right now, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, and I was surprised that, they're talking about reducing it.
Yeah.
And that's what surprised me, that they're still doing it. I mean, isn't it really a form of white welfare?
Yes, there's no question that it is. I mean, the thing that makes these questions tough is, like, with many of these economic mechanisms, there's not one answer where it's like, that's bad. It's sort of like, well, the deficit spending is bad or it's good. Really, the question is, what percentage of the total economy is being deficit spent, and what is the money being spent on? If you don't answer those questions, it's very hard to say deficit spending is good versus bad. And so with a lot of these things, it's really tough. It's really tough to say just objectively it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. It's all contextual.
Sure. One other thing, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In regards to, is it patriotic to not get the vaccine? If that's true, then when the next war comes in, because I'm afraid that, I'm going to get hurt in the war and I don't believe in the war, would that make me patriotic if I decided to be a draft dodger?
No, in those situations, the very same people would say the patriotic thing is to just do what the president says wherever they send you.
Got it. Thank you.
You got to remember, the principle only matters when it's convenient to them.
I see.
Yeah, that's the way that works. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Very appreciate the call. Very much appreciate the call. Let's go over to the regular waiting lobby. I do want to say thanks to Jeffrey Wittig, who just signed up on my website using the coupon code number 55 today. Over in the waiting lobby, Let's talk to Harry from Columbus, Ohio. Harry, you're on the air.
David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can? Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for taking my call. My question is this. So last week, I saw some kind of neutered takes about progressives and the privilege that they might have had over Joe Manchin, saying that they had none over him. And, you know, we saw stories play out over the last couple of months where we knew Joe Manchin would be saying, you know, holding up the goose egg with his finger, saying he's willing to go with nothing.
Yeah.
My question
now,
is this.
I want to make sure. You said privilege. Did you mean leverage or do you mean privilege?
Yes, I meant leverage. I'm
leverage.
sorry.
Okay, good.
So my question is this. Was the leverage that Progressive had maybe not so much over Joe Manchin, but rather over Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden to, you know, force Joe Manchin to do something, right? Like, was there like a sort of a transitive leverage between the, you know, progressives and Democratic leadership and Joe Manchin? What do you think about that?
So you're not asking rhetorically. You're saying, like, would there be some transitive leverage?
Yes, I guess literally in this case, would there be? But, you know, I guess, you know, metaphorically as well.
I don't know. I mean, my instinct is nothing significant enough to get him to vote differently. You know, I think the outcome kind of answers that question. I'm open to someone saying, no, here's the leverage, and they chose not to use it. And then we would have to say, well, we need to know more about why they chose not to use it. But not that I can specifically say, no.
Okay, let me clarify then. So you don't think that there's anything that Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi could have done over the last couple of months to change Manchin?
I thought you, okay, so progressives would use leverage over Biden and Pelosi to get Biden and Pelosi to exert leverage over Joe Manchin.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, that's interesting. I mean, okay, so let's.
A lot of people were saying outright that the progressives just had nothing on Manchin, right? Like, and I can agree with, like, you know, if they're just going to go to Manchin's door and knock and say, "Give us what we want," he's going to say no.
Yeah.
But, you know, go ahead.
I guess so. The argument you could make is, progressives could have leverage over Pelosi and Biden if there's something specific coming up next year, still within this legislative session, that Biden and Nancy need the progressive wing of the House in order to get passed. So that would be the leverage that the progressives have over Biden and Pelosi. Then,
what do you think about just in the specific circumstance of when we were in the, you know, passing Build Back Better?
No, I don't really think so. No, I think it would be something hypothetical about next year. I mean, I think when it came to this, they didn't have the leverage.
So you in that specific circumstance, they had the Pelosi, Biden. There was nothing more they could have done.
I don't know about nothing more they could have done, but nothing that would have gotten it over the finish line, which at the end of the day is what matters.
Okay, thanks for taking my call, David. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for the call. Important question. All right, let's go back over to the member waiting lobby and speak to, oh man, I don't even know who to talk to here because there's so many interesting people. Let's go to Mike from Queens, New York.
Hey, David, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I just wanted to get your take. With Trump going around recently on all these shows talking up the vaccine and all he's done, do you think this is preparation for his 2024 run, maybe just trying to find something about his presidency that he can salvage?
So I think there's no doubt that Trump would love to have something to set him up to do well in 24. So far, the being marginally more pro-vaccine has been a disaster for him, where the only people he has left are his own supporters, and they booed him, and they're furious with him for saying the vaccine is good. And it got so bad that he ended up having a phone call last night with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she put out a 15-tweet thread saying Trump is good. He's still good. So I don't think so. I think I think even Trump would realize that that's not likely to be what helps him.
You would hope so, but I also kind of think this is his plan because I just love it how his base can't take him seriously on it. And liberals obviously know that it's a bunch of bullshit, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't think Trump is so disconnected from his base. He must know that going out and saying the vaccine is great after he created the monster is not going to go super well.
I just found it strange because it's been a big turnaround, in my opinion. He hasn't really spoken much about the vaccine, so just seeing him bringing it up so frequently recently,
You know what it could be? It could be that he doesn't plan to run and he's just now being more outspoken about what he believes and he just wants credit for the vaccine. And the best way to get credit is to say it's great and it works and that's all it is.
Also very true, but I don't think there'll ever be any really comprehending Trump's logic.
No. I agree with you.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call, David.
All right. My pleasure. Great to hear from you. That is going to get us to the end of our scheduled time for this viewer town hall, the final town hall of 2021. I can't thank people enough for their participation. It has been incredible, an historic day. Thanks to everybody who sent support in different ways and through different platforms. I don't know that there's going to be any more streams this year. There may be. We did not get to our goal, but we still have many shows remaining this week, and maybe you'll see me pop back up on a stream at some point in time. Thank you for joining me, and we're going to see everybody again very, very soon.